Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Saturday stream. Another week of fabulous gaming, including Strange Loves to Hex Boyfriends. Our third attempt at attempting to find a Hex Boyfriend. Remember the first time with Neo-Hoku-chan, got a demon boyfriend, but died shortly after. Probably didn't even count. Last time, Brainless Randy, well, things did not go too much better for him either. I mean, we ran into summoning that demon again. Can't seem to get around doing that. It just seems to keep happening. So we're going for another attempt this week, and this time we're going to, I think, be using someone who knows something about magic and love. Someone who you could say is an expert on the subject. Because, from what I've been hearing, it sounds to me that there have been a few people who have been pushing for a certain individual from this week's Xbox Live Indie Games video to be the protagonist for Hex Boyfriends this week. That being Gamblove. There he is. Gamblove is highly prepared and knowledgeable for the matters of demons, magic, and romance. I don't think there is a better protagonist we could pick than Gamblove. So I guess that is who we're going to have to choose here. Hold on. I think, I'm gonna have to type this in all caps. That's just the way Gamblove talks. Everything about him is very majestic. Yep, that's us. We're Gamblove. Now, as for what the soundtrack for this week should be, someone had suggested to me maybe possibly going with the very well-known, very highly respected album of the soundtrack to Yu-Gi-Oh! Composed by 4Kids. It's Music to Duel By is our soundtrack for this week. Actually, it should be this. Okay, yeah. So it's time to duel with Gamblove, since Gamblove knows all about the heart of the cards and romance, so I guess this is what we're doing.
Now is the time.
Yeah, this is a pretty good choice so far, I think. Okay, we have to choose our major. Now, what do you suppose Gamblove would be a major in? I mean, aside from love, we all know that Gamblove, if he had his way, he would be a major in love. But we only have the choices of history, photography, and biology to go with. The soundtrack's honestly a little distracting. Oh, let's see, you're picking history major. Let's see. Is it a bit too loud? I thought it might be, so let's turn it down a little bit. Anyway, so yes, I suppose Gamblove would be knowledgeable of history as well. The history of romance, of card games, and magic. Okay, let's start the story. Your room is a single, thankfully, so there's no roommate to come in to distract you while you flip your laptop open and get down to business. A few hours later, you print off your essay on ancient Athenian democracy and its influence on modern American society. As you staple the paper, your attention falls to the spellbook on your desk. You borrowed it from Mara, one of your friends from the Wicca group. Mara found the spells too advanced for her, but suggested that they might be at your level. You flip through the thin, crisp pages, each one crackling under your fingertips. You find a scrying spell that seems easy to memorize and begin practicing. You place your hands on your laptop, speaking the spell words aloud. Rus Imilicia. I think that's what it said. Almost immediately, you are inundated with a series of flashes that assault your memory, the laptop at the factory, being manufactured, packing foam and cardboard. Wait, she accessed the morphogenetic field. He did. Gamblove knows about the morphogenetic field. He's much more knowledgeable than I even imagined he would be. You opening the box and setting the computer up on your desk, and on until you remove your hand from the laptop, shaking your head to clear your thoughts. You sit down and commit the scrying spell to memory, certain that it will come in handy. Gamblove is much more capable than I thought he was going to be. Right off the bat, I have a good feeling about Gamblove's chances. As you fit your paper into your backpack, your cell vibrates in your pocket. The screen displays one missed text from Rick. The text that just set your phone off was from Mike. Okay, so Rick and Mike, we already know about the descriptions here. We've tried both Rick and Mike before. So which do you want to go back with, chat? Do you want to go with Mike a second time or Rick a second time? Actually, Rick is the first choice, isn't he? And then Mike's the second choice. We remember that when we went with Rick, we went to a museum in which, that goofy Rick, he broke an ancient pottery. Mike, of course, lured us into the dark room, which was full of blood, and taught us a spell to pull things out of pictures. Though it might be different if we're not actually a major in photography. Anyway, you're saying we're gonna go with Soulful Mike. Okay. So this is probably the same as it was. Okay, so this is a little different right away because last time it said if we're a photography major, turn to 36. We were a photography major when we went with Mike. So we can't do it this time. We don't even have the option. We gotta turn to 45. So what happens? Oh, I guess we're going in anyway, but it's different text because we don't know anything about this. Okay. The dark room has its overhead fluorescent lighting on as you enter. You don't know a thing about photography, but you do know that the dark room stinks of vinegar. There are strange booths with machines that look like overhead projectors lining one wall, the kind some of the older professors still love to use. The other wall is occupied by a counter with a sink. Several liquid-filled tubs are already lined up on the counter. Next to one of these tubs rests a few common spell components: echinacea flower, golden seal, and ginger. There are also a few ingredients you don't recognize. Mike closes the dark room door and turns off the overhead light. He flicks another switch and the room is bathed in a dark red glow. He motions for you to come closer to the tubs on the counter.
Give it up, 'cause now I'm back.
As you near him, Mike drops each ingredient into the small tub, which is filled with a dark liquid. Each component dissolves instantaneously, fizzling and hissing. After a quick swirl with a pair of tongs, Mike removes a photo from the next tub over. He places a photo into... It's kind of hard to talk over Kaiba, talking about Kaiba Corporation.
Blue Eyes White Dragon.
And summoning the Blue Eyes White Dragon. Maybe we'll do that in Hex Boyfriends. Pull the Blue Eyes White Dragon out of a photo. He places the photo into the tub with the darker liquid. Stepping back a pace, he gives the photo a minute to rest, pushing it underneath the liquid with the tongs. Finally, he pincers the photo paper up out of the concoction, lets it drip for a moment, then uses the clothespins to clip it into the drying line. You step closer to inspect the photograph.
You're here!
Oh, big brother! It's a profile shot of a rose. Beads of moisture line its petals, and a ladybug crawls up its stems. Okay, so let's see. Gamblov's talking. Haha, Mike, this is beautiful. I imagine Gamblov would sound very confident. Mike winks at you in the red light. But this isn't even the part I wanted to show you. Watch. He gently moves you aside and stands in front of the hanging photo. Closing his eyes, he begins to whisper a spell. His voice is so soft that you can't make out the words. Then he reaches into the photo, pulls out the ladybug. Yep, this is pretty similar so far. So, I mean, this seems, even though we didn't major in photography, this seems pretty similar. If we're not sure about Mike's ethics, vote 1. If we don't care about that, vote 2. How ethical is Gamblov, do you think? When we were Hoku-chan, we did not care about ethics, we just wanted him to teach us the spell. Is Gamblov any different? Yes, it looks like that you're saying that Gamblov is above this petty human concept known as ethics. He's just interested in power. And power Gamblov will have. That's the most amazing summoning spell that I've seen, you tell Mike, and it looks like it's so simple. Maybe I can't apply some kind of echo filter when I talk as Gamblov. I imagine his voice would probably echo. He smiles at you. That's because it is actually, we already went through all this with Hoku-chan. This is exactly the same. Exactly the same. Okay, we remember the choice that was given at the time. The choice that was given to Holku-chan is the same choice that is given to Gamblov. Do we kiss Mike to learn the spell, or do we decline? Do we take things slower? Holku-chan accepted. She had no problem with this. What does Gamblov think about this offer? It's pretty even. Gamblov's considering it. Gamblov's thinking it over, stroking his chin. Gamblov's not entirely sure which way this is going to go. Does Gamblov wish to kiss Mike in order to learn this spell? Gamblov's not sure. So we're going to end the vote in 3 and see which way Gamblov decided. 3, 2, 1. It looks like Gamblov decided to keep things slower. You know, Mike, you say, shaking your head, you're cute. I mean, this entire thing, this amazing spell, this photo, giving me the rose, you indicate the flower, which you've laid carefully on top of the counter. That's all really sweet. But asking for a kiss in exchange for this spell, doesn't that seem like, I don't know, bribery? A little manipulative, even? Mike smiles and puts his hands into his pockets.
Hey, it's up to you. I'm not forcing you to do anything. I'm just letting you know that the price of learning the spell is 1 kiss. Just 1. I'm not even asking for 2 or 3. Just 1 kiss from you. That's all.
You fold your arms over your chest and give Mike your most disarming smile. No, that won't work on me. He chuckles. A kiss! Or, oh wait, actually no, is this Mike talking? Alright, I guess it is.
No, that won't work on me, he chuckles. My kiss, or the secret of the spell, stays with me.
So it's it's an argument over how power-hungry Gamblov truly is. Mike is treading on dangerous ground, I think, trying to do this kind of deal with Gamblov. This is the sort of thing Gamblov usually does himself. Do we change our mind, or does Gamblov decide that he's going to stick to his guns? Yes, I think you're saying I imagine Gamblov does not change his mind very often. You can't convince him of things. Once he's decided what he's going to do, he sticks with it. You walk over to the mic and grab the edges of his cardigan. You smooth the fabric over his chest, then pat his cheek. Sorry, cowboy. Maybe next time. Mike steps away from the door, a crooked grin on his face.
Will there be a next time?
You shrug. I don't know. Why don't you give me a call and find out? Mike nods.
Fair enough.
You shoulder your backpack and walk out of the darkroom door as Mike holds it open for you. He waves goodbye, holding the summon rose in his hand, then shuts the door with a click. You sigh. Mike is really cute, but he has no idea about romance or spontaneity. Okay, I can't say it. Or tact. You weren't about to kiss him in order to learn a spell. Maybe the next time he calls, he'll have improved his moves. Yes. Gamblov truly is Gamblov won this game, I think. You check the time on your phone. Better get over to the Wicca meeting. After a half-hour walk down Drew Drive, you arrive at the house that Mara shares with her roommates. It's an old Victorian affair covered in peeling, yellowed paint. The porch sags, and the front steps are sinking into the ground, leaving them listing to the right. You tread lightly up the stairs and ring the doorbell. Mara... Oh, this is different. Mara's answering. Usually it was the other two that were standing out front of the house. Mara answers, her curly blonde hair pulled back into a ponytail. Her face creases into a grin. New character, huh? Can't think of anything. How many... What sort of voice have I not tried as of yet? What, another southern drawl? Alright, if we'll just use Southern Drawl for all miscellaneous characters, because that seems to be what you're suggesting. Try to sound like a fairy? Valley Girl? Waluigi voice? Let's see. Waluigi voice. Let's see. I mean, a literal fairy. Keith from DP. Jamaican Fargo voice. Waluigi. Waluigi seems to be a popular choice. I'm just trying to think about trying to get the Waluigi in my mind. Yeah, I mean, doesn't really all he say is just wah, something like that. I mean, does he actually talk?
There's no backing down. The heart of the cards is where
Yeah, just say wow.
we've played this game before, but never quite.
I honestly don't know what Waluigi would sound like if he actually said things. I think I've only heard him say wah. I don't think I've actually heard him say anything else. Too bad, Waluigi time. I don't know, is that right? Russian Waluigi. Yes, Waluigi is not that's not niche enough. We need Russian Waluigi. A dastardly Italian man. I don't think anyone in the Mario franchise sounds Italian. They haven't in many, many years. Maybe a Mario voice.
Systems ready.
I think Kaiba's looking up how to do a Waluigi voice on YouTube. Maybe a Mario, just a plain Mario voice may be better. Let's see. Her face creases into a grin. I was starting to wonder where you were, she says, hugging you with a quick squeeze. Come on in. Everyone's in the living room practicing. We might try the protection ritual today just to get the hang of it. It's me, Mara. You start to follow Mara down the hallway of the house, your shoes brushing over the hallway runner, muffling your steps. You hear voices and laughter echoing from the large living room. Before you can turn the corner, two of the hottest members of the group, Devin and Theo, block your entrance over the threshold. Okay, so we have to meet Devin and Theo anyway. You almost bump your face into Theo's chest. He's tall, lithe, and lean, with his perfectly coiffed, straight brown hair, chiseled face, caramel skin aglow from hours of playing soccer on the quad, and penchant for khakis and rugby shirts. He could be an Abercrombie model. Devin is shorter and fair with blonde hair, but his stocky, muscled build and high cheekbones wouldn't be out of place with on the cover of a Men's Health magazine. Hey guys, you say. What's up? The two men glance at each other. Well, who's talking right now? It's Theo.
The power control.
I don't know. Is the power going to control us, Yugi? I don't know. We have something to show you that's far more awesome than the boring practice session that's happening right now, Theo says. Devin brings up his backpack and holds it in front of him, packing its large front pocket. All right, you say, lifting one eyebrow. What is it? Not here, Theo says. Let's go out on the porch. I don't want to go out on the porch. We keep going outside and summoning this demon. Let's just stay inside and not do this for once. Yeah, you pick at some flaking point on the railing. That's what happened last time. We went outside with the book. Right? They argue about whose Gamblove is going to cast the spell with. Yeah, this is what we had last time. Who do we help with this spell? Do we go with number 1, Theo, number 2, Devin, or number 3, both of them? Last time we chose number 3. We went with both of them last time. In the first game, we did it with Devin, but it was in a different building, like a different place altogether. This right now is exactly what happened last time. Okay, it looks like we're going to go with number 1, Theo. So at least that's different. We have not tried it with Theo alone, so maybe he's better at this. Maybe he'll be better at summoning this thing. Okay, we gained an achievement. Already, apparently. Devin, why don't you let Theo show me? You say, reaching out and taking Theo's hand. A flash of violent emotion, quickly suppressed, crosses Devin's face. He mutters, Goddess, under his breath, eyes cast to the ground. Well, okay. I'll just catch up with you guys later then. He turns and goes back into Mara's house, the ancient door creaking shut behind him. Come on, Theo says. I know the perfect place to go. Theo leads you on a long walk back down Drew Drive, past Echo Lake, and down through the school parking lot in the forest that lines campus. Yes, we're going to have to trust in the heart of the cards that we don't mess up summoning this demon. You weave between tree trunks, the soft loam on the forest floor, cushioning your footsteps. Bird song echoes through the branches, which are just starting to bud with leaves. Just as you think you're lost and will never be able to find your way back, Theo reaches the clearing he was looking for. How spooky! This is exactly the place we should be going with the Necronomicon. It's an old graveyard. You can see the remains of a church foundation in the back of the clearing. A few of the stone walls still stand, but most have collapsed over onto the grass. Some small trees grow in between fallen walls and the gravestones, and a few of the headstones have crumbled with age. Birds flutter from monument to monument, singing softly. However, the space is still mostly clear and very quiet. I found this on one of my walks a while back, Theo says. It's very peaceful here. I don't think we'll be bothered. Most people tend to shy away from graveyards, at least people that aren't like us. He turns to you and grins. Well, okay. We're a history major, so we can turn to 110. If not, well, who knows what would have happened. You walk over to a group of flat grave markers that you can see through the clumps of overgrown grass. Pushing the weeds aside, you kneel down and study the marker. The marble is rounded from years of being exposed to the weather, but you can still make out the engraving. Theo, this is a fantastic find, you tell him. These are Confederate graves. You can see right here. William Wilson, born March 3rd, 1843. Died December 17th, 1862. Beloved son and brother. You trace your hand downward over the carved lettering. And down here, I can just make it out. It says, 31st Regiment of North Carolina. Apparently, Gambler very excited over finding these Confederate graves. You hop over to the next grave, this one an actual headstone, tilted at a slight angle into the soft ground. The marble is just as weathered as on the smaller marker, but you can still read the words. You motion to Theo again. This grave here. This man is also from the same regiment. You pause. Their date of death seems to fit. Yes, I think these were men who died at the Battle of Goldsboro Bridge. The Union managed to destroy the bridge, which is part of a major supply line to the Confederate Army, if I remember correctly. You sit back, grinning at Theo. This is amazing! All this time, a Civil War graveyard so close to school! And I had no idea. Yeah, I thought you'd like it here because of your major, Theo says, extending his hand and helping you off the ground. He doesn't let go once you're standing. That's why I picked this spot. I figured you'd love it. That, and it's so peaceful here. He smiles and looks around the overgrown clearing while birdsong fills the air, still holding your hand. It's truly the most romantic setting for using the Necronomicon. You can only stare at Theo. He picked this spot because he knew you'd like it? And also you think because it's private. You look down at your linked hands. Oh, the music's getting tense. Theo looks down as well and blushes. He releases your hand and turns away, fumbling to find the spell tome in the tall grass. Before he can move too far, you've grabbed his hand again and pulled him back to you. Sliding your arms up his ribcage, you grasp his shirt and pull him close, pressing your lips into his. You feel a sudden intake of breath, but then he relaxes, wrapping his arms around you, pulling you closer to his chest. You brush your tongue over his top lip. When you both stop for breath, you arch an eyebrow at him. This was all really just a clever ploy to get me to go on a date, huh? Theo kicks at a clump of grass. Yes and no. I wanted to show you the book too, but yeah, mostly an excuse to go on a date. He grins, the skin around his eyes crinkling as he turns to as he smiles. You study Theo, his perfectly built body, his high cheekbones, his perfectly brown eyes. Yes, yes, yes. But why'd you stop? at kissing. When will you ever have the opportunity to have sex in the graveyard again? You know, I ask myself that every day. I still haven't gotten an answer. So, sex in graveyard for 1, or no sex in graveyard for 2. I mean, honestly, I don't know if this is even choice between graveyard sex or not graveyard sex. Let's do it right on the graves of the Confederate soldiers. I'm sure that will turn out fine. Come on. Don't be superstitious. Okay, number 1, it is. I got an achievement for that. You lead Theo back through the clearings to an area of grass free of... Oh, why free of gravestones? Why not do it on the graves if you're going to do it at all? The grass here is shorter and not as dry and yellow. You flatten an area, walking around, stomping the grass down with your shoes. Then grab his shirt collar and fall backwards. He falls down with you, landing on his elbows, straddling you, smiling down into your face. Oh, it just skips the entire thing. Now we won't even know if he gummed us with his mouth protector on. Afterwards, you're trying to locate your shirt. Ah, there it is, hanging from the low branch of a nearby tree. You notice that Theo has already opened your backpack, pulling out the components you'll need to perform a spell with the tome. Pulling your shirt back over your head, you wind your way through the graves and stand by Theo's side. All set, he says. I put all the components together. This is the spell we could try. Yeah, summon friendly guardian. It's always summon friendly guardian. Let's try something else, maybe. Some other spell besides summoning the horrible demon that will destroy the earth. The calligraphy is hard to read at points. He frowns. All business already? You ask him. He takes you into his arms and kisses you. No, of course not. I'm just excited to give this a try is all. I won't discourage your enthusiasm then, since I've already had my way with you. You pat it. I can imagine Gamblov saying that. You pat his arm. Music has pretty good timing sometimes. Theo grins sheepishly. You sit beside him on the ground, cross-legged. The incantation has a few strange words, but you know how to pronounce them. After going over the tougher sounds with Theo, you both begin the chant. However, in Theo's haste, he accidentally turns to a page other than the one he had marked. You both wind up performing a spell that raises the dead in a graveyard. Oh, really? It turns out that the risen corpses of Civil War soldiers are hungry for living flesh. Oh, alright. Okay. Well, that was something different. Well, alright, I didn't expect the exploits of Gamblov to end so quickly. I mean, at least we actually did get a Hex boyfriend, but I mean, it didn't last long at all. That was extremely short. Huh. I mean, I'm glad that it was not the usual death, summoning that demon, but it was, I don't know, not nearly as long as I imagined that was going to be. I thought Gamblov was going to show everyone and get to the end of this thing. So, I guess that's it for Hex Boyfriends for this week? Okay, alright, I guess. So that's another playthrough, I guess. I guess we'll be coming back next week with, maybe new and improved Gamblov? Maybe Gamblov returns back in action and better than ever? Neo Gamblov? Perhaps. Yeah, he actually kind of looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh character. I can imagine him being in that. But I guess, for right now, we're just going to have to say goodbye to Gamblov and goodbye to Hex Boyfriends for right now. And I guess we'll be back in a few minutes with Dementium, where we'll be fighting the risen corpses of Civil War soldiers and attempting to avenge the death of Gamblov. So, I'll be seeing you in a few minutes.